Welcome to Spotlight Chronicles. All right, so today we're diving deep into a subject that I think a lot of people are going to find fascinating.
Okay.
We are going to be talking about Brigitte Bardot,
Oh, yes.
this iconic French actress. It's like basically forever ago. And we have some really interesting articles here that kind of look at her from her own perspective about why there's still so much fascination surrounding her and also just how she's reflecting on her life now.
Right, right.
So our mission is to really unpack why this woman is still such a topic of conversation
Mm-hmm.
and what these sources tell us about how she sees things these days.
It really is something, isn't it? Someone who's decided to kind of step away from that whole world all
Yeah.
those years ago and still just has this like hold on our collective memory.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
So why don't we jump right in?
Okay.
And we'll start with this letter that Bardot wrote to the director, Danielle Thompson. We got some insight into this from an article in Kinema TV. And basically what was her reaction to this new drama series that's been made about her life?
Right.
I mean, she was not exactly thrilled.
Well, she was less than thrilled, I think, to put it politely.
Yeah.
According to the Kinema and TV article, she was surprised, almost bewildered,
Really?
that there was still this level of interest in her.
Wow.
And she apparently said to Thompson, this is a direct quote, "I want to be alone. I don't understand why the whole world is still talking about me. I stopped being in movies years ago, and I want to take care of my animal cause."
Wow. That is blunt.
Yeah.
It's just like a statement. It's
Yeah.
like, leave me alone. It's interesting, though, because Thompson also, in the article, noted that Bardot was, quote, not excited about the series.
Yeah.
It's like she knows it's happening,
Right.
but she wants nothing to do with it.
Right. She's not seeking approval. She's not seeking attention.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this is happening out there.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's your thing.
Yeah. And what I thought was really interesting was this quote that Thompson had in the Kinnaman TV article, where she says, and I'm quoting here, "Although the whole world knows Bibi, few know about the personal life of the young woman behind the myth."
That's an interesting point.
Yeah, and it really kind of gets to the heart of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have this image of Bibi, right? We have the sex symbol, the icon.
Sure.
But what about Brigitte, the person?
Yeah, right. And that's the real distinction, I think.
Yeah.
The BB myth, the image we all have, forged from those films, like, and God created woman, it's so strong and globally recognized that it's really overshadowed her as a person.
Right. And maybe that's part of the reason why we're still so fascinated by her. It's like we made her into this image.
Sure.
And now we're still curious about the woman behind the image.
Yeah, it speaks to that whole like constructed celebrity thing, right? I mean,
Right.
we as a society, we create these figures in our minds and
Right.
we often project our own kind of desires and fantasies onto them.
Yeah.
Bardot isn't really just a person, she's a symbol.
A symbol of what, though?
Well, I think back then she kind of represented a vision of freedom. Yeah.
And sensuality. And maybe that still holds some power,
Okay, so there's this gap between the persona and the person,
Exactly.
and maybe that's what keeps people intrigued.
That's part of it, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, now both of these articles we have talk a lot about her influence.
Yeah.
The Kinema in TV article actually says that she helped start a global sexual revolution
Oh, wow.
after that film. And God Created Woman came out in 1956.
Okay.
And it broke so many taboos, and it really changed the way women were seen.
On screen and off.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the This is Beirut article calls her a symbol of moral liberation
Okay.
and women's emancipation, particularly for the roles she took on in the 60s.
Right. So it wasn't just about her acting.
No, it wasn't.
It was like she became this cultural force.
Exactly.
And she challenged the way people thought about women's sexuality and their behavior.
Mhm.
And you know what she did on screen and even off screen
Yeah.
was so different from what was considered normal for women back then. Right. And it really resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah. So it sounds like her impact went way beyond just Hollywood.
For sure.
It was like a societal thing.
Yeah, she helped change what was acceptable for women
Yeah.
and even what was considered desirable.
In terms of their self-expression and their independence.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is Beirut article also talks about Bardot approaching her 90th birthday.
Oh, wow.
And based on when this article was published,
Yeah.
that would have been pretty recently, like in 2024.
Okay.
And I'm curious, how did she feel about reaching that milestone?
Well, she kind of approached it with her usual wit.
Oh, really?
She joked that she'd rather be 20 again.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Exactly.
But then she also acknowledged that she was, quote unquote, very happy to have reached this venerable age.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
which, to me kind of shows that she's pragmatic about it.
Yeah, just accepting it.
Yeah. And she even said that for me, every day is the same. I take them with the same ease as before.
So there's a sense of peace there.
I think so.
Like inner peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. It's very refreshing to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now this same article, this is Beirut article,
Mm.
talks a lot about Bardot being really content in her solitude
Yeah.
and like totally dedicated to animal rights.
Yes.
So according to the article,
Yes.
what brings her joy now?
Well, it seems like it's a world away from Hollywood.
Yeah.
The article emphasizes her deep connection to nature
Okay.
and her choice to really distance herself from, all the stuff that comes with interacting with people.
Drama.
The drama, whatever.
Yeah.
And she says, and this is the direct quote, "What makes me feel good is my silent solitude. It suits me very well."
That's pretty powerful.
It is.
And her main focus now is her foundation for animal protection.
Right.
And this is not just some hobby for her.
No.
She's been fighting for animal rights for decades.
Decades.
And the article specifically mentioned her fight to ban horse meat.
Right.
But she hasn't seen much progress.
Right. Which must be incredibly discouraging.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine pouring so much of yourself into something
Yeah.
and just feel like you're not getting anywhere.
Well, it's clearly a source of frustration for her.
Yeah.
The article quotes her as saying, "After 50 years of pleading, I have achieved nothing. I would still like to see some results before I leave you all."
Wow. So you can really hear the disappointment in her voice
Yeah.
after, all these years of fighting.
Years of campaigning.
Right.
And nothing's really changed.
But despite that, I mean, she really does seem to have found peace
yeah.
in her life and in her choices.
Right.
And the article says that she has, quote, no regrets about leaving cinema.
Wow.
So why is that?
Well, she says that she's proud of that first part of her life.
Okay.
And that her global fame from her acting career, quote unquote, helps me greatly in animal protection.
So basically, she sees her past as a tool she can use now
Exactly.
for her current mission.
And she also talks about how grateful she is for her fans.
Oh, wow.
You know who still write her letters?
That's sweet.
And she says those messages, quote unquote, do me a world of good.
So even though she likes her solitude,
Yeah.
she still appreciates those connections with people who care about her.
Right.
That's nice to hear.
It is.
Now, the article also touches on her advocacy that goes beyond just domestic animals.
Right.
It talks about her concern for Paul Watson,
Okay.
this environmental activist,
Yeah.
and her condemnation of countries that break those international agreements on whale hunting.
Right. So she's not just focused on one specific area of animal welfare.
No.
She's concerned about these much broader issues.
Yeah, and she's not afraid to call out countries that are doing the wrong thing.
Exactly.
So it's like she's still very much engaged in these global issues that align with what she believes in.
Yeah, it shows how deeply she cares about protecting all living things.
Right.
And the planet itself.
So when we look at everything together,
Yeah.
her thoughts on her fame, the insights from people who have studied her and her impact, and you know what she's doing now with her life? It really creates this complex picture of a woman who, obviously left her mark on the world
Yeah.
and now is really living her life on her own terms.
Totally.
And it makes you think about fame,
Yeah.
right? And how do you reconcile a past like that with what you want to do with your present?
Right.
And I think Bardot's story really shows this shift from the adoration.
The spotlight.
Yeah, to something much more personal and meaningful to her.
It's almost like a complete 180.
Yeah. And maybe Bardot's journey reminds us that even people who are global icons eventually want something different.
Yeah, like a different kind of spotlight.
Right. A spotlight that focuses on the things that they truly care about.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah, it makes you think about all the different ways a person can leave an impact on the world.
Yeah, and how our sense of purpose can change over time.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been a fascinating discussion.
It really has. I've really enjoyed this conversation. And thank you all for joining us for this deep dive into the enduring story of Brigitte Bardot. See you next time on Spotlight Chronicles.